Good morning. So, the Feds raised the rate yesterday by 75 basis points. Yikes. What does this mean for the real estate industry? I get that question all the time. Are mortgage rates going to go up even more than they have? Does this affect? A lot of people think this affects the actual mortgage interest rate. It may or may not. Many times it does not. And we've seen over the last six separate times, over the last several 2.5, 3 decades, where the country was in a recession, and we actually saw the real estate market 4 of those times do pretty well. So right now, here's what I'll say: right, we're sitting at about 6% for mortgage rates, and that does affect the value. It affects the value of properties. We've had listings where if they came on the market, I would say in the beginning of this year for the price that we originally listed them at, they would have been sold for that price. But because buyers can no longer afford the payment at that number, then the only way to adjust with that is for the prices to come down a bit. So we've had to go ahead and work with our sellers to reduce the prices, adjust the prices, so that the buyers see that there's a value in that property. So, every single market, it doesn't matter whatever, there's a lot of stuff going on right now trying to stop the inflation. Inflation is out of control. I can't believe I don't eat ice cream, but my husband does, and he came home last night and he said a pint of Haagen-Dazs was $8.50. I was flabbergasted. $8.50 for a plate of Haagen-Dazs, which it's not even filled all the way anymore. So you could see with our produce and everything, prices have increased dramatically. I was just in Europe and France for some vacation time, and our dollar there is actually worth a little bit more than what the euro is. So and things cost actually less there. The food costs less. We actually had meals for lunch for less than $20 for 2 people. So, which is pretty crazy because I've been to Europe many times. And I remember one time the dollar was worth like, I don't know, 43 cents or something. It was very, very expensive to go. So if you love to travel, right now is a great time to travel to Europe if you have the capability to do that, because our dollar is worth a lot more than it's ever been actually since they have the euro. So we go back and you look at real estate, and when the rates increase, it increases the buyer's monthly payment. At the end of the day, buyers are buying a payment. Unless you're buying all cash, most people who are buying real estate, I'm talking about right now, mainly homeowners, and they're buying a home to live in. They're buying a payment. They'll say, what's your budget monthly? My budget's $3,000, $2,000, $1,500. I don't want to go over $5,000 a month, whatever the budget is. So if the rate goes up, that means that the price of the house either has to go down or may not get sold because rates are almost double of what they were. So it does affect the value. And at the end of the day, we look at it and say, okay, how do we become the number one best positioned property in the marketplace in that neighborhood? And that's by offering all the things to a buyer that we can. So I always suggest to every seller, listen, let's offer home warranty. Home warranty gives buyers peace of mind, and it's very inexpensive. It's $535 paid at closing. No reason not to offer home warranty. If I'm selling my house, I'm offering home warranty. Seller assist are back in play. So offering seller concessions, offering the seller assist for buyers that need that extra money for closing costs. A lot of times buyers might even have the money for closing costs, but they're like, oh, I need furniture for my new house. So that extra cash will help them go a long way with maybe some updating paint, updating of floors. Everybody has to paint their house when they buy it most of the time. I always say budget paint in there. So offering some seller concessions, there's also, we can incentivize real estate agents with bonuses and with a little bit of a higher commission to show that property. We're coming back into a marketplace where these things are integral in getting the property sold. So there's lots of little tools in the toolbox that we have that we use. There's lots of programs also from the mortgage finance side that we position, for example, CRA programs. That's with community banks. Citizens Bank is one of the companies that we work with, where if a buyer buys in a particular area and it's census-based, they can get up to 1% less than the current prevailing interest rate. So this changes the game in regards to the payment for that buyer, and that buyer get that particular house, for less money than they could for a house that's equally the same 2 blocks away, if it's in the right census tract. So there's so many different tools we've used over the last 18 years. I remember back in 2008, 2009, there was not much, a lot of things weren't selling. I remember having inventory and calling a lot of investors and saying, this is a great opportunity, but they didn't have the money. So right now, what's different this time is that people do have money. There's a lot of buyers, investors sitting on the sidelines who've been waiting for the market to turn so they could get back into the business of buying and selling real estate, because there is a business in itself of buying and selling real estate. They just increased the conventional loan amounts in our area. I think it's going to be almost 700,000. It's got to check on that, but then I will get that out there. I'll put that in the link, what they increased to, but they just increased in Philadelphia metro market. So I saw 715. I'm not sure 100% that is the final number, but I will get that and I will drop it in here later today. So that's another thing. So that means that if you're buying something, let's say that's $650,000, that's no longer a jumbo loan. You can get conventional financing for that, right? So that means you can get FHA financing for that. And the loan limits for 4-unit quads. So we have duplex, triplex, quadplex. They've increased almost to over $1.2 million. So there are lots of opportunities. There's still a lot of opportunity in the marketplace. You just have to know how to navigate through it, how to find the resources. So because of all of the things that I've been doing over the last couple decades in the real estate industry, I have a lot of these resources already at my fingertips. So we're dusting off our toolbox and finding some of these tools that we used to use before that we didn't need quite frankly, over the last 3, 4, 5 years. We didn't need them. We didn't have to utilize that tool to get the property sold. Now you got to go back, you got to know what tools to use, know which properties you need to use them on, and really, really think about how you're going to get these properties to the finish line, meaning actually sold, and get buyers in there. Right now, what I also see is that, it's people, when they're not sure what's going on, they tend to not do anything. So it's our job to communicate what is going on, what is happening in the marketplace, okay, and having longer, in-depth conversations with our clients. At the end of the day, we know, I could tell you this, in 21 days or less-ish, 14 to 21, what exactly needs to happen to get that property sold, based on what happened with the showings, what happened with the online views. We could say, oh, well, we saw a couple hundred people that looked at it online, but they didn't schedule an appointment. They didn't schedule an appointment because the price per square foot was too high for the area. The condition of the property didn't match the price and the square foot. So they're looking at your first showing. People seem to forget this. Your first showing is online. It's not at the house anymore. The house is the viewing. It's like, do I feel good in this house? Will my furniture fit? But the first showing is online. And when they're online, they're looking to see, is this house big enough for this price? Or is this yard big enough for this price? it always comes back down to that. It comes back down to the price. And the price and the rates, the mortgage rates, not the Fed's interest rate, the mortgage rates do affect the price of the home. Okay. People were buying crazy for the last couple of years because if you can get a rate of 2.9% and you're buying something, for a lot of people are like, oh, it's only 2.9%. Great. So they bought, and hopefully they're happy in that home that they purchased, and they're going to stay there a long time. And all the stuff that's going on right now won't affect them. However, if you did buy and you do need to sell, there needs to be a very, very well thought out plan now in order to get that property sold. So there is lots happening in our real estate market. Happy to talk to you one-on-one about any questions that you have. And it's Thursday. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, hopefully, here in the Philadelphia metro market. I wish you a great one, and stay safe and stay healthy. Have a fantastic day.